So drowning is the number one leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4. It's the second leading cause of death from children ages 5 to 14, and it's the third leading cause of death from children ages 15 to 17. Teenagers are most likely to push themselves in water, push the boundaries, their limits, maybe show off a little for their friends or family. This can potentially, if they don't know what they're doing, this can potentially turn into a very dangerous situation. There have also been cases where professional or swimmers who have been teenagers who have been swimmers basically their entire lives, or who think they're good enough swimmers to overcome the water. There have been many cases where experienced swimmers are overpowered by the water and its strength and taken by its current, or just underestimating the water, which gets them in trouble. This is why I think it's important that schools make it mandatory for students to learn how to swim, no matter what age they are. This is important because most of us, once in our life, are going to encounter water, whether it's a pool, a lake, an ocean, a river. I think it's very important to learn how to get yourself out of a dangerous situation, how to keep your head above water, how, if you're in a dangerous situation, how to tread water, float on your back, be able to swim to safety. So learning how to do crawl stroke, backstroke, or even breaststroke, which are very simple strokes that don't have to be perfect to get you to safety. Some misconceptions that I have seen dealing with swimming is, especially parents of younger children, they think they'll be able to hear their child when they're having trouble swimming, or when they're starting to drown. In reality, drowning may not be as loud as you think it is. This can be a very quick process and a very quiet process. It can also be mistaken as like children playing in the water. They most likely won't be able to yell, because if they're drowning, they might have water in their lungs or in their mouth, keeping them from saying anything. And once this drowning process begins, it can go downhill from there, and you might not be able to hear the struggle at all. So another misconception that I have seen is a parent will think coming from parents of younger children, well, not just younger children, but parents thinking that if taking their eyes off of the child for a couple minutes, nothing will happen to them. Like I said before, drowning is a very quick process. So once water gets into the lungs and the panic response is triggered, the drowning process is very quick. You can't speak, you can't breathe, you lose oxygen, which can then knock you unconscious and making you slip underwater and making that process go very quickly. Once the drowning process begins, you have moments to react. It's a very precise time, because once you start drowning, you are not getting oxygen that you need, especially to your brain. Your heart might stop. And once that happens, you can, a drowning victim can end up with long-term brain damage or other complications if they survive, because it can turn fatal. The last misconception that I've heard a lot is not watching your child most parents don't watch their child when there's a lifeguard present, because that's the lifeguard's job, is to save people. When in reality, a lifeguard has a ton of other jobs. Watching the patrons swimming is definitely their number one job, but they also have jobs such as cleaning the pool and watching other people around, not just one specific child. So if one parent thinks that the lifeguard will take care of their child if something happens and just leaves the child to go willy-nilly, then the lifeguard has to work extra hard to like take care of everybody and make sure one specific child is safe, which is not something they're required to do. They're not required to watch one specific child. They're required to watch everybody. So if a parent does their job and watches their child, it keeps both the child and the lifeguard more safe, because then they can do their job while you are also watching your child. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was being aware of the waters around you. Obviously, depending on where you live, you have different bodies of water available to you. Some people have pools, some people have lakes, oceans, rivers, canals, which all can come with their own dangers. I think ponds and rivers, especially, and lakes, you have to be careful when you're jumping in them because there might be rocks at the bottom. And if you jump on one of those from a far height, that can end very badly in paralysis or something like that, or death. So depending on where you live, you have to be careful and know your waters. Another thing I wanted to talk about is how to escape a riptide, because there are a lot of people, whether on vacation or not, a lot of people have experienced the ocean because it's a popular body of water. The ocean is very pretty, but also can be very dangerous. I wanted to show this, how to escape a riptide. This is a diagram. So a riptide basically is when the water underneath the waves is pushing out into the ocean. This can be very dangerous and it takes very many people's lives. To escape, many people don't know how to escape a riptide. So if you find yourself getting pulled out into the ocean, you have seconds to react. So you just swim to the sides to get yourself out of it. This is another example. Okay. And some preventative measures that I want to go over quickly are to avoid drownings and stuff. Wear your life jackets, know your limits, learn how to tread water and float, and just be safe while you're in the water and know your limits.